Hello there, my friend. How are you doing? I bet you're doing better than you think you're doing, and I'm going to prove it. It's going to be kind of a roundabout way, but I'm going to prove it. Thank you for listening. This is the Joyfully Prepared podcast, and I'm your host, Wendy Bergin. And I talk about all sorts of different things. I talk about homesteading, farming, animals, gardening, failures, a lot of my failures. And we address failures as blessings. We talk about abundance. I talk about my family, what I'm learning, how I'm growing, and hopefully encouraging you to do the same thing. So, thank you so much again for listening. I'm going to prove to you today that you're doing better than you think you are. I'm going to ask you a question and I'm going to encourage you with whatever your answer is. Do you keep a journal? Journaling is such a fabulous way not only to get your feelings out, but to also keep a written record of what you're doing and how you're progressing. I think one of the greatest blessings that human beings have, or abilities, I guess I should say, is we do have the ability to adapt. Something might be very difficult, but eventually we will adapt into it. Our brains will change. And that can be good and bad. I'm just saying the ability to adapt. And before we know it, it's just part of everyday regular life. And we don't realize how far we've come as time passes because we just lose sight of the fact that we're growing and progressing. And so I'm going to encourage you throughout this episode to keep a journal. I keep a couple different journals. I keep the journal where I write my insights. I write as therapy, if you will. I keep that journal where I can get deep and heavy and I got to work this stuff out. And journaling always helps me at all of that as I transform the things that I'm learning. But I also keep another journal that I've mentioned many different times. It's called my transformation journal. This is the journal that takes me about 5 minutes at the end of the day. And this is the one where I write at least three wins, three things that went really well, that just went well. Sometimes it's my daughter's softball team won, or the Philadelphia Phillies won, or the Virginia Cavaliers basketball team won. It can be that because that's a win and it made me happy, but it can also be I made a really good loaf of bread or I discovered how to do such and such, or it could be a win for a friend or a family member too. Whatever the win is, we tend to beat ourselves up because we think we didn't accomplish anything in the day, that we didn't have any wins. But when you spend every night coming up with 3 ways that you did win, that something really did go right, that you did move forward. I don't know. I'm not a neuroscientist. You guys know that by now. I don't This is what my definition of all that science stuff is. Your brain changes and it starts to look for the wins. And as it starts to look for the wins and it finds the wins and it feels good, the things that you didn't accomplish, they don't matter anymore. Because at the end of the day, you're not going to let down the people that you love the most. You're not going to let them down. You're not going to let them starve. You're not going to not change their diaper if you have ones in diapers. You're not going to forget this or that because that you love them and they love you. You're doing great taking care of your responsibilities. Yeah, maybe you had to restart the dryer a few times. So what? Be thankful that you have a dryer. Be thankful and that you can start it a couple times. Who cares? Even if you have to start the washer a couple times, who cares? Gosh, I did that so many times. I remember when I had the kids when they were really young and I was so tired. I'm like, crap, I forgot to take the wash out of the washer and put it in the dryer. I'm like, guess what's going to happen? It's just going to get washed again. It doesn't matter. Be thankful for the water and the laundry soap and your clean clothes. That's what you say to yourself. So by writing every single night, here are my 3 wins, and you can go more than that. Absolutely. 3 is minimum. If you got a shower, go with it. Go with it, sister. Your brain starts to get used to looking for the wins. Everything in my transformation journal is an exercise in teaching my brain to notice what I want it to notice. My other thing is I call them tender mercies. These are these little blessings that happen in the middle of the day or early in the morning or late at night, whatever, that just go right for you. That just they didn't have to go right, but they just went right. I don't know how to explain that. It could be, especially here in Florida, we got an unscheduled, I don't think that's right, but a thunderstorm rolled through and dumped a bunch of rain down. Oh my gosh, that's such a great tender mercy. Or somebody was a tender mercy to me, that they did something, they served me, and this thing just went right. Or maybe I was a tender mercy to somebody else. And so I'm looking for occasions, experiences throughout the day where something just clicked. And I'm going to share some of those with you throughout the podcast episode. My third thing, I'm looking for times throughout the day that I was anti-fragile, meaning that's a big word. It's kind of newer in the world right now. The idea of being anti-fragile is not that you're not breakable, but that when you do break, you come back stronger, that the pressure actually builds you up and that you're more than you were before you broke. Okay? And number 4, I'm looking for transformations. Just one. All of these are just one, but a transformation. Did you learn something? Typically, that's how the transformation happens. Sometimes I got my hair cut, I got my hair dyed, whatever. But you're looking for some way that you notice that you went to bed a different woman than what you woke up, because we're looking to progress. We're looking to transform throughout our day. Did you learn how to make bread? Did you fail at the bread? That's okay. You learned one way not to do it. You transformed. You read something and that made a big difference in the way you think about something. Again, that's a transformation. It can be teeny tiny. It doesn't have to be this big giant epiphany. These small, simple moments of realization or learning or whatever, that they can be transformative. They are transformative because they build on top of each other. So, what I thought I'd do is I would just illustrate these wins, these tender mercies, anti fragile moments, and transformations that I've had over the last few weeks as I've been homesteading and raising a child and being a mom, being a wife, being an animal caretaker, and teach Sunday school, and I'm a realtor. There's a lot of things going on, but in all of these things, there has been progress and transformation. And I don't think we change. Sometimes we do change overnight, but I think we change slowly, quietly, almost secretly. Sometimes, and that's why I think it's so important to write them down, because nobody's really going to notice but you. And you might not even notice if you don't write them down. That's my opinion. And then one day you look back and realize the Lord has been working with me this whole time. That's how I feel. So let me share with you a couple things. I launched the Joyfully Prepared Classroom. Yay! Back in April, I taught my very first Joyfully Prepared Classroom class here on the Bergin Homestead. I taught them how to can strawberry jam. They started from it's all hands on, all hands on. They started from the very beginning, washing the berries, hulling the berries, chopping the berries, cooking the berries, putting them in the jars, preparing the jars, everything. They did so fantastic. I didn't know how it was going to go because it was my first class, and it was just so fun, and I just loved it, and I was just like, this is what I love to do. This transforms me, it transforms others. They are now more self-reliant and we're happier. And there's something so beautiful about women gathering together to learn and practice these skills. There's no perfection. In fact, I definitely showed how imperfect I am. There was no pressure. We just had fun. We just learned together. And it was, like I said, we were all equals. We were all learning. I was the mentor, a guide, but we just had a great time. And I do think a lot of women are craving that kind of thing right now. We want to be together and laugh and learn. And it's not because they necessarily want to be homesteaders or at all, but it's because we're working with our hands when we're creating. The creator, God, created us to be creators. And so learning skills changes you. There's your transformation, right? Making food for people changes you. And that class gave me so much hope for the future of Joyfully Prepared. The day after that class, my regenerative gardener, Sam Igo, here in Central Florida, he is Central Florida Abundance. That's how you can find him. He came over and helped plant more of the food forest over in the elderberry patch. So I have a food forest in the front of my house, and then he planted natives to be a food forest in the back elderberry patch. Every time we add something new over there, I just feel like we're planting hope for me. Can I keep it alive? But this is food and this is so exciting. This little patch of land has become something so much bigger than just landscape. I also went out and bought 4 different herbs. Let's see, I think 2 of them I've never grown before. So there's an herb called Gotu Kola. It sounds funny. Gotukola. That is known for being really good for brain health. I bought anise hyssop, comfrey, and lemon balm. They're all lovely. I planted them in my front food forest, and they're doing really well. And I walk out there sometimes and think, I hope I have had this thought because we live on 5 acres of property and because this area is developing so much, I don't know what will come, how long I'll live here. I hope that the person who buys this property will love it as much as I do, will be thankful that I've tried to create this food forest and this sense of self-reliance and preparedness. That would be so awesome. It's not just food storage, food, herbs, it's not just that. It's a stewardship over this property. And so that's what I've been doing on the property is a lot in those gardens because I never got my garden beds filled with soil. I bought all these plants, tomato plants, a zucchini. She did not make it, a bunch of plants because I thought I was gonna put these. I got those really nice Vigo metal galvanized, raised garden beds. I was gonna fill them with soil and garden and da, 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 and it never happened. I couldn't get that job done. I could buy the planters, but I couldn't get the soil here. Anyway, that's my problem. So what I did is I stuck them over in the food forest. I've got a little tomato patch over there with some basil and marigolds. I put my herbs out there. So I'm just kind of making it what I want to make it. And I think it's super cool and I highly recommend doing it. So part of the transformation, so these are wins, these are tender mercies, whatever. And part of my transformation is also emotional and spiritual. And one Sunday, I had the realization that good days and bad days are often a matter of personal definition. What might be a bad day to me might be a really great day to you, and vice versa. And so, can we really say that was a bad day? Can you say that? You can say it. But isn't that interesting? Because sometimes a day can be objectively difficult and it still be deeply good. It's uncomfortable. There might be pain in the day, but we all are trying to get out of pain. Some way, somehow, everybody, for the most part on this planet, is making decisions to get out of pain or to stay out of pain. And often it means that they maybe unaware inflict pain on other people. Now, there are just cruel people in the world, don't get me wrong. They're just mean, evil, cruel people. They know exactly what they're doing. But for those of us who are just good people, we're just trying to not feel uncomfortable. We're just trying to not be in pain. And so we unaware, like I said, unawares. I don't know if my grammar is correct on this one. We inflict pain on other people. And so we can think that we're having a bad day, but maybe it's just because we're in pain or we're uncomfortable and we don't know how to get out of it. We haven't figured it out yet. God hasn't shown us the light yet. Whatever it is, we just don't have the answer yet. And so we might say that was a bad day. It might have been a painful day. And I guess if you want to define it as being a bad day, you get to do whatever you want to do. But maybe it really was a good day because maybe that quote unquote bad day was exactly what you needed in order to transform into someone more compassionate, loving, intelligent, discerning. You never know. And sometimes the most exhausting days are the ones that shape us the most. Sometimes caregiving days are holy days. My daughter, speaking of caregiving, my daughter Lily, she's my youngest. Bless her heart, at her birthday party on May the 1st, she broke her foot. She was finished. We were at a trampoline park type place with her friends and we were done. We were getting ready to go home. And she took a step down. She was walking down the stairs. She stepped down wrong and bent her foot and she broke that little bone on the side of her foot, the fifth metatarsal. She broke her foot. And I don't know if you've ever had a child who's been injured or sick. You know how life suddenly rearranges itself. Everything slow down, everything takes a little bit longer. But one of the things that I wrote in my journal surprised me. And I wrote, caring for Lily has been a blessing. And it really has, because caregiving can soften you. I have to share my praise for my daughter because I think 4 days after her break, she had a very important test she had to take. She is in an aviation academy, an aerospace academy, because she wants to be a pilot. And one of the classes that she was in this year, she's in high school, was a drone piloting class. And she was scheduled to take her drone pilot test 4 days after she broke her foot. And bless her heart, like a trooper, she just walked on in there and passed it like a boss. Like, I'm so proud of her. I'm so proud of her that in the midst of pain, in the midst of a completely different way that she has to move around the house and around school and the way she has to get dressed and take showers and all of that, that she could focus enough to go in and pass that test. So yay for Lily. I'm so proud of her. And what a huge thing she did. So she's over there passing the drone test, and I'm over here trying to figure out YouTube thumbnails and how to wind a bobbin on a sewing machine, which I did. I told you the beginning of the year, my goal is to quilt a quilt. I have not moved forward on that very much. However, I did unwrap my sewing machine finally that I got for Christmas. And I learned how to wind a bobbin, put the thread on the bobbin, and I learned how to thread the machine. So I made some progress towards the quilt. I may have to push my quilting goal out to next year, but it's only where I've got a few more months. So I'm okay right now. Like I said, I celebrate it was in my journal that I wound this bobbin and that I threaded the machine. It's in my journal because everything counts. Another random victory that I had, I finally figured out one little bread instruction that changed everything. I've been making fermented bread dough. I anyway, I can share that with you another time, but it's because it's healthier for you. I mill my own grain, my own wheat, and then I've learned, and I have that wheat book actually. If you guys want to check it out, I'll put it in my show notes. I have a book that I wrote last year about how to use wheat, you can use it whole, you can crack it, but how to make bread with it. And one of the things that you do is you ferment the wheat flour before you add the ingredients. And so I've been figuring out how to do this better. I need my bread dough in a Bosch mixer. And I read that you're supposed to knead the dough on low speed. And I had always kneaded the dough on high speed. And when I did that, the magic happened. And now my bread is so beautiful. It's like sandwich bread. It's so beautiful. And isn't that just like a metaphor of life? Sometimes we're overworking ourselves when gentle handling would do. That one little instruction changed the outcome completely. All right. So again, these are wins, these are transformations, tender mercies, anti-fragile. All of these things, these are illustrations of I honestly didn't remember that I had read that instruction about the bread and practiced it and it works. I didn't remember that I had even written it down. I knew that I had learned it, but I didn't know that it was a win for me, except for the fact that I wrote it down. And I think that's really cool that I'm writing. I wound the bobbin, I threaded the machine. These are teeny tiny victories, but it's okay because it's important to me to see that I'm progressing. A few weeks ago, I taught another class in the Joyfully Prepared classroom. They learned how to pressure can chicken. It was really cool because it made me really happy because I know food preservation can feel intimidating, especially using a pressure canner. But when the women realized, oh, I can actually do this, we had so much fun. I watched them transform. It was so cool. I could literally watch the confidence grow in real time. We're just talking, they're putting the chicken in the jars, they're learning how to use the pressure canner. Honestly, that's one of my most favorite things in the whole wide world, watching women realize that they are more capable than they thought. And that's what I promised you at the beginning of this episode is that you're doing better than you think you are. You may just not be recording it, but you are doing better than you think you are. Now, I want to share with you about the miracle chickies. This is a great story. The miracle chickies. I have a little hen and she was broody, and broody means that the hen is gone into this state of mind that she needs to hatch her chickies. Like she's nesting. Literally, that's what they're doing. They're nesting. So they lay eggs and then they sit on them in order to hatch them. And these mamas, they are relentless. They sit through the rain. In fact, you can go to my TikTok channel. I think it's just Wendy Bergin, and you can see a little video. We put a little tarp over her when it was raining. They sit in the heat. They don't eat. They don't drink. Not very much. They take a break once or twice a day, but they are on those eggs. They turn the eggs. They're sitting on the eggs. I didn't realize she was there. And then I kept thinking like, what where are all the eggs? Or there was something I couldn't remember. And I looked in this bucket. It's a old planter that has a dead tree in it sitting by my garage. And I looked over there and there's this chicken laying on these eggs. And there was like 15, 20 eggs. It was a lot of eggs. And they were in these perfect rows. And for whatever reason, my brain did not comprehend that she was broody and that these she was trying to hatch them out. She was gone at one point to eat whatever, stretch her legs, and I gathered all the eggs up and put them in the fridge. Put them in the fridge. They were in the fridge for 4 or 5 hours. I went to make some eggs. I went to make for breakfast and I opened these new eggs up and there were little chickens in there, like half baked chickens. I'm like, oh, 3 of them in a row. I'm like, what's going on? And then, see, sometimes, even though I've done this so much homesteading, some days it just takes a minute for the brain to figure it out. I was like, oh my gosh, she's sitting on those eggs on purpose. And so I gathered all the cold, now cold eggs and took them back and put them out in the planter. I think while she was gone, I'm like, please come back. And it was a really hot day. So I knew the eggs would warm up really fast. I'm like, please. And I prayed and prayed. Literally, I prayed to God, please let one chicken hatch, just one little chickie hatch. It took a few more days and we had 2 chickies hatch. So I call them our miracle chickies. And they are with their mommy in their special little coop. And I just never know. I had the opportunity this weekend to speak at a women's wellness expo here in Lakeland, Florida, and meet a whole bunch of women and talk about herbs and self care and all the things that I tell y'all every week about. Self reliance is first taking care of yourself, second, taking care of your family, third, taking care of your community, and being able to share how herbs do that. I got the opportunity to speak in front of people, and I love that. And I look forward to doing more of that. I have a listing, I have a house that I was blessed to list and sell for someone. So, real estating is, I'm doing it. So it's slow and I don't know a lot and I have to ask a lot of questions, but that's okay. I'm making progress. It is happening. And I keep this journal and I will link to you. I have a page. It's like a Google Doc page that I will put link in my show notes so that if you want to download it, you can see what this transformation journal looks like, and you can start one. Mine's just in a little teeny notebook that I write in every night. And I've been doing this for, I don't know, a year and a half now. So I have quite a few little notebooks at this point. Thank you so much for sitting with me today, my friend. And maybe after listening to this episode, you'll take a few minutes to think about your own past few weeks and recognize that you're doing better than you think you are. What have you learned? What tender mercies have you noticed? What tiny victories deserve celebrating? Because I promise that they matter more than you think. By small and simple things, big things are done. Until next time, thank you for listening. I love you and enjoy your day.